What is it about?
Yeah, I was thinking that if I answer some questions for my user, they can build a picture about me, make such portrait about the person who is behind the rocket science sailing, and maybe have a better feeling about it.
So here it comes.
So, okay, first question. Why rocket science sailing? Is it that difficult? No, it is not difficult, even if it is called rocket science sailing. The name origins from the fact that I am working in science, in computer science, and there the rocket science sailing is such a describes something which is amazing and great and mind blowing, exactly like sailing with rocket science sailing, and hopefully I will show you that.
Okay.
Okay. Question number 2. How did you come to sailing? Well, approximately 10, maybe 15 years ago, a friend of mine invited me for a sailing trip, and we were doing sailing from the Poland, from the Swinoujście towards the Sweden via Bornholm, and that was mind-blowing experience. We had a storm, we had night sailing, we had fog, we had to run watches, and it impressed me so much that I fell into love with sailing immediately, and then I started to do sailing. Okay, question number 3. Which places have you visited so far? So far I have been, I think, in many places. The Baltic Sea, German coast, Danish coast, North Sea, English Sea, French coast, the Polish coast. We have been even in Russia, in Norway recently. We have been in Caribbean, Bahamas, Mediterranean, Italy, Croatia, Greece. We have been in Thailand, and my probably biggest highlight, we have been on Baikal before Russia went frenzy. But yeah.
Great.
Okay, question number 4. Do you have a favorite boat? Every boat. I can sail every boat, yes. I love actually 2 kinds of boats so far currently. This is a Dutch plaid boat. It's an old-fashioned, traditional metal boat with a flat bottom, and even being 20 tons heavy, these boats are sailing so great. It's just amazing. And another spectrum of the whole yacht, I love racing boats, especially class 40, and I love how they sail, how one steers them, and this I sail currently more often using Pogo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, question number 5. How much does it take usually to organize a trip? Now, for me, well, there are different things which I have to do. Paperwork, trip documents, but this I spread usually over some time. For the client, for the sailors who would like to join, one should approximately think about like half year ahead. So usually one plans the sailing trip which is happening in half year. Sometimes a little bit further in the future if the preparation has to take longer. It can be also done very, very ad hoc, like over weekend, but usually only like within European Union. It's all about whether the boat is available, hotels, the planes. So these things would limit basically how spontaneously we can organize a trip. Okay, question number 6. What do you like most about being a skipper? Actually, I think that's also a thing which I like most in a sailing or in a such sailing activity is the how out of individuals the crew emerges, and I like also to contribute to it or let's make it possible as a skipper because on the beginning of the sailing trip, different people, they come together, they are all individuals, everybody has their own story, own view, own history, But after the sailing trip or during the sailing trip, that is the best if out of these individuals, the crew emerges and people are working together, they solve the problems together, they help each other, and. And of course, as a skipper, I try to do that it happens. Okay. Question number 6. Do you do regattas or racing? Currently, I don't organize racing trips and regatta trips, but I personally do regattas because I think if I can manage the boat in regatta stress situation, I can master it then way easily in a normal cruising situation. Okay. Question number 8. Can one learn with you how to sail? Hopefully. That is one of the probably perks or good things in sailing. I try to explain everything what is happening on a boat, what's going on to the people, so that they are aware of it, that they are aware of traffic situation, they are aware of weather, they are aware of what's coming upon us. Is it a thunderstorm or it is good weather cloud? What's about the waves and currents and. So basically, I usually do not shut up. People hopefully learn a lot about sailing, and after sailing trip, they can manage also the boat. If it is about sailing exam, it's another topic. Yes, I do train people for sailing exam, and actually we can also do exam, but I don't do theory. For theoretical preparation, there are plenty of things. Okay, question number 9. How many sailing trips do you do per year? Currently, I try to do 5 to 6 sailing trips per year. That gives, for me personally, and also for my friends, a good ratio of work and rest and holiday, and so that is so far is around of 6 per year. Maybe it will be more in the future, but currently 6.
I have a question for you.
Question number 10. How long have you been sailing already? Well, actually, I already told it. It's I think since 12 years I'm sailing actively every year on multiple occasions. Question number 11. Did you ever fall overboard or someone from your crew? Well, no, and hopefully it will never happen. But this topic is always present, of course, during the sailing. That's why I do very intensive sailing safety instruction before we start sailing. So I explain people how to avoid falling overboard and how to prevent it and how to be safe.
Hi, I have another question for you.
Oh, yeah. So question number 12. Do you have to participate? Does one have to participate in sailing while the trip? No, one doesn't have to, but it is good if one does, because in this way one learns. In this way one is active. In this way one learns. One takes something from the sailing trip and not just there being passenger. That is one of the reasons why one goes on a sailing trip to be active. Another thing, if one is active, if one participates in sailing trip actively, one is less likely to develop the seasickness. Question number 13. Have you been seasick? Yes, of course I have been seasick. Everybody can be seasick. But as I just told, if you actively participate in a sailing, go on rudder, trimming the sails, then you are less likely to develop the seasickness. Okay. How many people are usually taking part on the trip? From 0, like me being alone, up to 10, because that is the range of places for typical cruising boats nowadays. The larger boats are already from premium segment, and I usually don't organize trips on such huge large boats. Usually, typically it's around of 6 crew is around of 6 people. Okay, question number 15. Do I have to speak English, or which language is spoken on board? Which languages do I speak? um, so, depending on crew, of course, we will have to come up with a common language. I am doing very often very international trips. I mean, trips with the international crew, so the English is usually common language. We can do also German. I speak also Russian. I try to speak French, so I know French commands in sailing. So that is typically the situation. Okay, question number 16. Can I hire you as a skipper? Now you should. Of course you can, and of course you should. If you have a boat, and if you have maybe a group of people, you would like to sail somewhere and you are not sure that you can manage, you can hire me on the website. There is info about it. The question number 70. What was the heaviest weather I have been sailing? The heaviest weather for whom? For me. There is no such thing as heaviest weather. It is a sailing weather. If one speaks in terms of wind, I have seen the wind speeds of 55, 60 knots. If we do sailing trip, I do not go out from harbor if the wind predicts to be stronger than 7 before, so 8 before and higher, due to endurance reasons. So in this sense, we are safer, let's say. Of course, if the weather deteriorates and weather forecast turns out to be wrong, and the storm catches up on the trip, of course, I have always plan B for that. Okay, question number 80. What are the typical problems during the sailing trip? The big, it's not a problem, it's let's say property. Because it is a group of people, the biggest property or biggest, it's not issue, but biggest thing, let's say, is communication with each other. So people have to come along with each other, and that is the main thing which makes out of people the crew. So that how they are helping each other, how they are coming together. If it is about technique, then I think there was nothing which didn't break so far. So in my history, only mast was always up, let's say. But it is never critical situation. One can always manage, and it's basically not a problem. It's event during the sailing trip which stays in memory, especially if people manage to resolve it together. That is what makes the whole pepper of the sailing trip. Okay, number 19 question. Do you sail during the storm? Of course, what else? I cannot not sail during the storm. The question is whether storm is predicted and we decide to go out or not. So if the storm is predicted, means the wind strength, wind force over the 8 before, we don't go out from the port. If the storm caught us up during the sailing, then of course we have to manage the storm. The modern boats, they can cope with heaviest weather conditions, and I try to do the best so that the crew can manage the heaviest conditions. So I prepare, I tell where to pay attention, we prepare the boat, we put the sail reefs, we discuss what to do in a situation of A and B and C. We assign roles, who does what, and we help each other so that we manage the difficult situation together as a crew. And actually, that's what makes them crew. Okay, number 20. What do you like most about the sailing? Well, as I told, the one biggest thing which I like in the sailing is how one out of group of individuals creates a crew. So like how the crew emerges out of different people. That is A. B, that is my individual, my personal liking, let's say. The ocean and the forces of nature are so overwhelming, stronger than just human being, even just a crew. That it is, it puts clearly in the foreground that you should not fight ocean, not fight the wind. You have to adapt and come along and do the best out of it. So that makes me a little bit more humble. It also makes me more adaptable. I have to do the best out of the situation, which I cannot change. I cannot change the storm, yeah, but I have to deal with it, and I have to do it, let's say, in my best way. And that is, I think, the biggest thing which I learned from sailing, and I try also to communicate it also to the crew, so that everybody learns its place, let's say, on the earth, and starts to also appreciate the beauty of ocean, the beauty of sea.
Yeah, Tom. These were all the questions. Thanks, Pavel.
Yes.